Year 4 has concluded, and we finished 8-5 with a Gasparilla Bowl victory to end the season. The expectations were high in Year 4, and we were unable to meet those high expectations. And we're going to be moving on from a bunch of good players that were quality pieces to this team. The first one being Tevao Maduapuaka, and then Tanner Williams, the middle linebacker, named a captain to begin the season. And the depth that we have behind him is really unexperienced. John Woodbury is going to be really hard to replace. 18 sacks in his senior season as he continued to just develop into a monster at the edge rushing position. Juan Lima, we may miss out on at the end of the season due to his deal breaker, so we'll have to see when we see players leaving. Shelton Sampson was probably one of the best players that we have seen in the Dynasty so far, breaking the career receiving yards record and touchdown record for the Utah State Aggies football program. He's going to be really hard to replace as well. We do have a couple of receivers that I'm excited about, but my emphasis in the offseason here is finding receivers that can catch. Looking at the career stats of all these players, Tevao Maduapuaka with 35 career games played, which is by far first on that offensive line. John Woodbury with 31 tackles for loss, and Tanner Williams with 23 tackles for loss. John Woodbury, of course, over 20 career sacks. And then going down the board here, Chase Davis with 2 career interceptions. You also have David Jester, but he never really played for us. He was a transfer here at the beginning of year 4 coming over from Alabama. But he is nonetheless a senior that will be moving on, along with defensive tackle Sean Mixon. I think that we should try and get better in the offseason. Obviously, that's got to be the goal here. But I think what I want to do is I want to establish this program more as a run-first team. And we have some big news to talk about, because when I click on players leaving, we have seen nobody is transferring out. If you guys did watch last episode, then you saw, well, Chance Harrison has a chance to transfer out. We're going to try and persuade him here, as we have a low chance to persuade, but he has decided to stay. But if you guys watched last episode, you saw that a lot of players had a D- pro potential, and they need like a B- in order to not want to transfer out. It was Tevao Maduapuaka who was able to work his way up draft boards so that he could eventually be taken in the 3rd round and boost that pro potential from a D- to a B-, which allowed guys like Juan Lima, Demarius Ahmad, and more. Zach Qualls is one of those guys, Andres Sosa at safety, and it allowed these guys to stay put in Logan, Utah. So Tevao Maduapuaka is probably, arguably, the most important player of the series so far. You're seeing some of the key teams in the Pac-12 and their guys that have moved on to the NFL and got drafted. Looking at the transfer portal now, I think this is a really good chance for us to get better, especially in the receiving game, and then getting some depth at middle linebacker and getting some depth at free safety. Only problem is nobody wants to come here. You have to go all the way down to the 72nd ranked transfer portal product in order for us to be having a chance, in order for us to even have a chance at bringing him in. And as far as quarterback goes, Anthony Walter is the only one. Dominic Overby is a deep threat receiver, not really the archetype that I'm looking for, but I want to bring in some kind of, competition for what we have already on the roster. Sorry, I had a brain fart there in the word that I was looking for. Probably not going to edit it out. And then defensive tackle, it's always good to have depth there as well. So we're going to add 2 guys to the board. Free safeties, there's not very many that are interested in coming here. Mario Bello and Alani Wiley are the 2 that I'm definitely going to add to the board here. Jaleel Rahman never really panned out. Didn't really like what I saw when we scouted. Anthony Walter, a scrambler. He would be a senior for us, so he'd pretty much just be a backup. Not really liking what I see there. Clay Kemble, 88 speed. I like his short route running here. The catching at 73 is something that I'm not really interested in. I'm looking for catching that is sitting around 80 for you to really have a chance. How about 99 speed, though, for Dominic Overby? 75 catching, but 99 speed. I guess that works out a little bit. He looks like a really good player. He would come in as a senior, though, if we're able to bring him in. How about Angel LeMay, a power blocking left tackle here? Better pass blocking than run blocking, but the opposite can be said about Ben Kendricks. 88 run block is incredible. A power blocking tackle from Utah. Would love to reunite him in Utah so that he can play for the Aggies. Steven Langster, like what I see there. Mario Bello, 90 speed, 64 zone coverage. He'd be more of a project guy, but you don't have time for a project guy when he's already going to be a senior by the time he gets on your roster. We are going to offer him a scholarship, though. And then John Burden with Platinum Field General. I'm definitely interested in that. And then Cole Harrison, a transfer from Tennessee, an actual real-life tight end in real life. And I like his catching. I like his speed. He adds depth to the tight end position if we're able to bring him in. We are able to bring in an athlete. Cedric Prince looks to play middle linebacker. He's in the high school class, so he's not a part of this transfer group. I do put him at the bottom of the list because I kind of forgot, but he is a part of the high school class. Looking at how recruiting is looking so far, we are in a good position for multiple of these players here. And then looking at the high school guys, we really ran away with a lot of these competitions. Nobody really even offered these guys. J.J. Gessner is one of those guys that nobody even offered. Morgan Burns, we were in a battle against LSU, but it looks like we've pulled ahead in that one. Dexter Wall, a left guard 3-star from Stockton, California. There's J.J. Gessner from Virginia Beach, Virginia. And then we move on to week 3 here, and we bring in Morgan Burns. So we do beat out LSU for a really good route runner, I would imagine. And then Angel LeMay, the transfer left tackle, has decided he's going to come here, along with his counterpart, Ben Kendricks. Not from the same team or anything, but I think they both offer interesting skill sets. Mario Bello, it looks like he's probably going to choose Cal. It sucks because when we try to hard sell, one of those grades is a D+, and he came from Air Force. He's probably going to go to Cal. This guy wants to go somewhere where he's going to get a really good education. Utah State does not offer that. We do bring in Alex Donahue, a 3-star high school prospect that I think could eventually turn into a starter. It all will depend on his development. Damian Lampman, we bring him in out of high school. Everett Eagles out of high school. North Las Vegas, Nevada, tight end depth. Theo Anthrop, another tackle, and he's a hometown kid from Logan, Utah. He grew up 10 minutes away from the stadium, so he's staying put. He could probably still live with his mom and dad. Steven Langster, John Burden, so we do get the Platinum Field General, and Cole Harrison at tight end adds even more depth to this roster. Sam Sue and Byron Frost, we both bring those guys in, and the 99 speed Overby. You do see right here, Mario Bello chose Cal along with Alani Wiley. So both of these guys chose Cal, and I wish we would have been able to bring in at least one of them. Now we're going to go ahead and look at development traits here. You know a couple of these because of the early National Signing Day, but we will start seeing some new ones once we get past Lewis down here, once we get to Diego Warrior. Impact for Danny Sierra, pretty good. Now we get the new ones. Diego Warrior, impact development. Stanley Thorne, normal development. Dexter Wall with stars, so we're adding to that offensive line. Star development for J.J. Gessner. That is huge. He's a big body receiver. Star for Morgan Burns. So 2 receivers we brought in that I think will definitely develop. Donahue with impact, Lampman with impact, Everett Eagles and Matt Gage both with impact. Theo Anthrop, normal development. Anthony Shockey, impact. Sam Sue, normal. Byron Frost with impact. Overby with impact. Langster with normal, John Burden with star and that Platinum Field General. If Jeremiah Tobias gets hurt, we got a good one. Angel LeMay with normal, Ben Kendricks with normal, and then Cedric Prince is the high school guy. He also has normal development. Looking at the top classes here, Duke somehow came away with 4 5-stars. The crazy thing is, 3 of them are defensive ends, right ends to be specific. Duke bringing in a crazy class for their standards. Looks like their basketball team. We finished with the 31st best class in America, which is actually down from last season. And we also finished 3rd in the Pac-12. Stanford continues to recruit really well. Boise State recruited really well at the same time. So we're going to have a battle here in the Pac-12. We're not just going to run away with this conference. Antoine Hausler, I don't see a clear path for him playing all that much at running back this year. So I am going to change his position to wide receiver. Now, I will go and tell you in advance, off camera, I do move him back to running back because he also had no chance to play at receiver at the same time. So I do move him back to running back. It gives you more of an idea of how we're going to try and utilize him here. Ben Kendricks, even with his huge size, we do move him inside to guard. And then Diego Warrior, we move the mammoth over to left tackle to kind of even up our offensive line. Sam Hsu, the 271-pound defensive end, he's going to get pushed inside alongside Byron Frost. They're not going to be the greatest defensive tackles to start, but their size is more so defensive tackle than it is defensive end. They also don't have a clear path to playing at defensive end. You also see that we moved Eric Drake back to free safety because of not really having anybody there. And we also will move Pat Snow over to free safety to add some more depth there. Cedric Prince is also going to free safety. So this is a totally new position group at the end of the day. Anthony Shockey is not as good as we once thought he was supposed to be. He'd be a 63 overall defensive tackle. We'll see how that works out. Everett Eagles, we're going to move him to tight end. He'll be a possession archetype tight end, so it's even more depth. I think that's what we imagined we would do to begin with anyways. Brian Horner with normal development is really unfortunate, but we're going to move him to middle linebacker to try and compete for a starting spot because that position group is not very developed at the moment. And we're also going to look at our true freshmen and our transfers ratings here. 68 for Stanley Thorne, really good. 74 for Xavier Blunt. Definitely excited about him as a player. I think he's got very good potential. CJ Whiting has, well, first Dominic Overby, 77 overall. We'll see if he sees the field without development here. CJ Whiting, 74 overall. Antoine Hauser's a 72, which is just not good. JJ Gessner's a 66 overall, and Morgan Burns a 64 overall. Don't worry, though. I do feel like they will develop at some point. Cole Harrison is a 79 overall. Looks to potentially be our best tight end on roster. Everett Eagles comes in at a 66. Angel LeMay comes in at a 79. Diego Warrior, a 68. Dexter Wall, star development, comes in as a 64. JD Skillen comes in at a 75 overall. So the offensive line is easily our best position group, and it has so many bright faces on it that I think that we may not ever be stopped if we continue to develop this offensive line. We could turn into that 2021 through 2023 Michigan football team where, like, the offensive line is so good that you just can't stop their running game. You can't stop their offense. Damian Lampman, 71 overall as a true freshman. And then Sam Hsu, Anthony Shockey, and Byron Frost, all in the low 60s. But don't worry, I think that they may develop at some point in their career. Here's what I mean. Our middle linebacking group is not developed at all. So I'm really, really worried about that group. Braden Pope, we do not move him to middle linebacker. We're going to keep him at right outside linebacker. So kind of scared. It's kind of scary. Really, it's kind of scary. I'm hoping for some development at the end of the day. And then we do have a pretty decent group at free safety now. And then Cordell Lawson and Andres Sosa, of course. Now it's time for off-season training results, and Jeremiah Tobias is playing up to an 87 overall with excellent accuracy. Still struggles with the deep ball, but throw on the run, short and medium accuracy is all incredible for Jeremiah Tobias. Thomas Yates had a really good offseason of development alongside Deshaun Layman. Johnny Santee up to a 75 in his senior season, but Thomas Yates may get a little bit of playing time. That's the goal. And then same things for fullbacks. And then Devontae Haslam just went crazy in development. His medium route running is up to a 99. Tyler Sexton can catch the ball extremely well. Zach Qualls is getting better as a pass catcher as well. And then Lincoln Bach isn't bad at catching the ball as well as a redshirt sophomore. But the big surprise here, Devontae Haslam with crazy development, and then Malachi Durant really didn't develop all that much. And it's kind of the same story for our tight ends here. I wish that the tight end position could be fixed because they really didn't develop. Looking at left guard, John Yolito, he's playing up to an 87 overall. Richard Bulware is right behind him. Alex Tuttle's playing up to a 91 overall. And here's the best player on the roster, redshirt sophomore Steve Giraldo, playing up to a 92. Tevin Apple also had a really good offseason of development. Juan Lima, an 84. And then LaShawn Johnson, kind of giving me Elvis Dumerville vibes a little bit. Name is a little hard to say sometimes, but Elvis Dumerville was short, but he was a really good speed rusher off the edge. Maybe that's what LaShawn Johnson could be for us in obvious passing downs. I obviously wouldn't put him out there and on 1st and 10. It'd be like 3rd and 10, under 2 minutes to go. Just go get the quarterback. Alex Cheeseman actually develops quite well. Tavares Stammer, not so bad at the same time. So I think that the move was probably a good one, keeping Braden Pope at right outside linebacker. Maybe Alex Cheeseman can turn into a solid Mike linebacker for us. If not, you got guys like Sean Meeks that can also move over there. And then Miguel Catapano made the decision to move Eric Drake to free safety that much better because he's an 83 overall, and he's going to be our slot corner as a redshirt freshman. He's taken kind of the same path as Eric Drake. Eric Drake did the same thing his redshirt sophomore year, had a really good offseason of development, and went straight to the slot corner position. And then Cordell Lawson and Andres Sosa, unfortunately, don't get much better than they were a year ago. I think they've probably hit their ceilings. So the Pac-12 is going to look new. Arizona and Arizona State, welcome back. It's been a, 4 or 5 year absence, a 4-year absence from the Pac-12. They are back. So that's something that makes the Pac-12 truly Pac-12. Pat Durbin has been cut at middle linebacker. Ty Coker's been cut as a cornerback. Greg Moncrief is also going to be cut, or I guess encouraged to transfer. And then Stephen Abraham, he's also going to be transferring out as well. And then the final guy is unfortunately going to have to be Jeremiah Driver. Bringing in J.D. Skillen, we just don't have the room for him. Here's a look at our schedule here for year 5. We open up at home against a Pac-12 opponent, the Cal Golden Bears. Then we go on the road against Oregon, home against Nevada, on the road against Sam Houston. And then we have back-to-back home games against both Arizona State and Arizona. And then we get our only bye week pretty much of the season. Go on the road to Fresno State. And here's the game that I have circled on the calendar. Washington State at home, week 9. And we will finish the season up on the road against Boise State. Now we're into recruiting, and the goal here is to bring in the best quarterback that I can bring in and the best receiver that I can bring in. So guys like Anthony Tobin, the number 1 quarterback in the nation, is somebody that I'm going to attempt to go after. I want to bring in an elite level talent at quarterback and wide receiver in this year's recruiting. I think it's got to be an emphasis here. So adding guys like Stephen Beebe and Miguel Tinker, these are like the 10th and 11th best quarterbacks in the nation. I think that my goal is to bring in somebody that is at the top of their game. The same thing goes for receiver as well. You got Alex Ibrahim, the 5th best receiver. Going down a board, you got Ezekiel Bush, and then Zach Truin actually has some interest in us, and he's the 8th best receiver, a top 65 prospect. Taekwon Garrett's a top 100 receiver. So looking at scouting, now we're going after these guys and trying to see how good they may be. And Zach Truin with his 95 speed, 81 catching, that's exactly what I'm looking for. Unfortunately, not a gem prospect. How about Tobias Cody, the best quarterback in the state of Utah? I kind of like what I'm seeing here, but I think there's probably better options. How about Anthony Tobin, the number 1 quarterback? Definitely interested in him. As a 5-star, he doesn't have a gem, but he's probably going to have good development trait. Stephen Beebe is a gem, and with 94 throwing power is probably my favorite quarterback at the moment. We are going to need corner help because we have a lot of seniors on this roster, so James Nix is somebody we'll look at. Antoine Darby, we kind of have a band-aid at free safety right now is the way it kind of feels at the moment, so definitely want to go after him as well. Chad Turpin from Utah. He is the 4th best player from Utah, 89 strength. The pass block, run block, he's a gem. I want him. Daniel Jones is from Rigby, Idaho. I'm not talking about the Daniel Jones that sucks for the New York Giants, but he is an elusive back, so it'd be a new archetype that we just haven't had on the roster. We're going to go after him. How about the lefty Miguel Tinker, 93 throw power. His speed is at 75, so he's more that pure pocket passer. Taekwon Garrett is a speedy, physical archetype. I have been looking for this archetype, and he's a gem. We are going to offer him a scholarship. We only have 13 seniors on roster, so we don't need the biggest class in the world. And now advancing to week 0, you can see how many hours we're putting on these guys and seeing maybe did we jump up into their top 8. And in the case of James Nix and Antoine Darby, we did. Chad Turpin, we're in 1st place. Danny Ferrario in 1st. Ty Woods, a tight end in 1st. Still nowhere to be seen on Daniel Jones' list. Want to see and play that one by ear. Dominique Azea and Stuckey as well at middle linebacker. Definitely an emphasis in this recruiting period. Heading into week 1 now, so this is the last you're going to see. Stephen Beebe, we are in 1st place for the gem, number 10 quarterback. Miguel Tinker, we're in 2nd place, more of that pure pocket passer. James Nix, we're in 1st place. Antoine Darby in first place. Tyquan Garrett, we're making some jumps. We're up to third now, battling with Stanford. I'd love to beat Stanford out for him as a receiver. That would be sick. And then looking at the rest of it, Chad Turpin, Danny Ferrario, we're in first place. Lyle Ivey in first place. Ty Woods, the tight end, we are in first place. So Daniel Jones, we're now up to second, but we're battling with Oregon, and that's a team that's really hard to beat out for recruits if you've been watching this series or watching anybody's College Football 25 series. Oregon's dangerous. Dominique Isaiah wins second against Boise State. Christian Stuckey in first as we're battling against in-state rivals, the Utah Utes. And then Anthony Tobin, we are in third place for the #1 quarterback. But that is going to do it for the off-season episode. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I am going to be taking probably a 5-day break once this video is uploaded. You're probably not going to see week 1 of season 5 against Cal for probably another 5 days. There's going to be a little bit of a break. I'm finally caught up because I've been ready to start season 5 for a while now. I just had to get these videos edited. Holy crap. And I had to do the voiceovers for them. So that's why we've been posting so many episodes in a row. But that's going to do it for this episode. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Hope you guys enjoyed my silly commentary, and I hope you guys are enjoying this series. At the end of the day, I love making this content, and I love the support you guys have shown it. That's about it. See ya.